ヒップホップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？グミグミグミグミグミグミグミヒップホップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？ヒップホップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？グミグミグミグミグミグミグミ
Hello! Thank you so much for being with us today on this holiday, this Memorial Day. We appreciate you being here. We have a great show today. This is Skeptical Robot. I am Luigi Greenberg, and we don't want to take too much time with all this nonsense we do here. So let's just go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and bring out my co-host. You know him, you love him, CORNdiff. What's happening, buddy?
What's going on? How are you?
I am doing very well.
Caught me off guard with that intro.
Oh, but it's always just so adorable when you start dancing. If we could make a full show of you just dancing, I think we'd be bazillionaires by now.
If only.
Now, we have a very special guest today, and let's go ahead and bring him out to talk about this topic today. So, like with all of our guests, we do a little something special. So please welcome, folks, Mr. Shuli Egar.
I told you from the start, the Shuli network's off the charts. Putting the art up in the garbage, I ain't talking about my music, y'all are talking about stuttering John. We doing numbers like it's arty, you dumbass acting like the podcast gonna turn you. But I put you on my back and you ain't even gotta worry, man, I got a catalog longer than a stutter. And you know I'm never mumbling my words, I'm flowing like a storm, I'm pouring up. You motherfuckers know I had it coming since my genesis, I'm walking out my nemesis truck. I told you from the start, the Shuli network's off the charts. Putting art up in the garbage, I ain't talking about my music, y'all are talking about stuttering John. Man, I'm up now, and y'all are just old news. The network just went gold too. Me and Shuli going up, we making bold moves. We doing shit that you would never do. You say I'm going to hell, but I'm a devil to you. And it's a lonely life, but I've never been true. That's a double entendre. The people love my bombers. I know it gets on your nerves, I know it gets on your nerves. Shuli, where you been, man? Y'all told you from...
Hello, Mr. Egar. Thank you for being with us today.
Where my shit wears at? Make some noise!
Thank you so much.
Melendez, the 26th, you and I, steel cage match. I'm gonna scrub you clean, daddy. And for the first time in your life, you're gonna smell fresh and nice, and people are gonna wanna be around you, and you're gonna hate every second of it, Jack.
Amazing, sir.
What's up? What's happening? Let's fucking go. This is one of those shows where I pray to God my family doesn't walk in while I'm doing this.
I do not blame you.
Yeah. How do you explain this shit? All right? I mean, you don't.
It's a very common concern of mine as well, every single week. Thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it so much. Really been looking forward to having you on, and we have a very special topic to discuss with you today. Before we get into it, though, I do want to point out a couple of things.
I didn't know. Next question. Go ahead.
I'm a fan. Come on now.
No,
you know better. First off, Hellraiser with 5 Luigi Greenberg memberships. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Now, here is something else I wanted to point out. I noticed this while scrolling. First off, Hamhead, thank you for the 20 gifted Luigi Greenberg memberships. Thank you so very much. But there was a name here that I noticed. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm wrong. It said Karmic X Tribute Act. I was like, what? He's a fan.
He's a good egg, that Karmic. I like him.
All right. We will acknowledge all of the gifted folk. We always do. We promise we will. But we don't want to take up too much of Mr. Egar's time by naming them off one by one.
Please, take your time. Thank everybody. I'll be here all week, so you don't have to worry about me.
Thank you so much for being here. And look, I know you got a really busy day, so we can just jump right into it. So we talked a little bit backstage, and I know that you're a fan of MMA.
Yes. Yeah, clearly you can tell by looking at me. I
mean, of course. That's how I knew.
They came up with the clothing line Affliction just by looking at me when I walked into a room one day. Thank you, everybody. I'll be here all week, like I said.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. This story revolves around the sport of MMA, and one of the most beloved pioneers of the sport, but it totally crosses over into the normal skeptical robot talk about grifters, the paranormal. It's just this perfect little sweet spot, but there's also some hilarious moments to this story as well. So I thought this was just going to be the perfect topic to have you on to talk about it.
Well, when you think grifting, you think me, you think our channel. So it's a match made in heaven. How do you not do this? Yes, I'm excited.
Here's the funny thing, though. Now, I'm not going to assume that you've watched every episode of our show, but we noticed about 2 weeks ago that when it comes to these paranormal grifters and con men, there is so much overlap to John Melendez and other grifters in the Dabbleverse. You're going to hear accusations made that have directly been made by John. You're going to hear words and sentences said by John, but in a totally different context of trying to sell a paranormal reality from a mystical guru. But you're going to hear things that you have heard John say, I promise, and it is funny shit.
Well, what's funny about the whole, like, this point in time, people have never been dumber and easier to grift.
That's sad, but I agree with you. Yeah.
But, like, okay, you mentioned paranormal ghost shows, right? People still watch these fucking dumb ghost hunting shows as if they're gonna show something. Like the search for the treasure at Oak Island, that bullshit, right? 72 seasons. There's nothing fucking there, okay? There's nothing there. Every ghost hunting show, the evidence is something you have to take the host's word on. You ever notice that? There's no
100%.
There's no video of a ghost jumping out going, woo. It's always, wow, guys, it's really cold in here. Like, okay, got it.
After 30 seasons and at least, let's say, 24 different shows over that time, we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes, footage hours, not one single credible piece of evidence that ghosts exist. Not one.
The sound waves thing, it's super easy to do if you just put reverb on anything. It's very, like, look, this is, here, I'll show you. This is like a ghost hunting show. This is a sound I picked up in my basement the other night. Listen to this. Hold on. That wasn't, hold on. Did you hear that?
Wait. I wonder if we're living in the same house. Did you hear this one?
My favorite is when they go, "Was that behind you?" And he goes, "You just missed it." The camera goes, "It was an orb or something." It was wild. It was wild. And
it's so stupid.
And what's dumber than ghost shows? Recording you farting into your iPhone. Thank you.
So we're all about the farts here, and I actually have a dedicated fart mic that is plugged into my Rodecaster, which I do not use for my face. Just when the mood hits me.
Something amazing. Right after I recorded that fart, I go, I really should have a designated fart mic plugged into the board. So it's amazing that we're on the same page.
Hey, we're trying to rid the world of grifters, stuttering John, but bring in fart mics. I mean, come on. No, and we did a full episode on the quote unquote scientific technology used to attract ghosts or to locate ghosts, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's nonsense. But it's really hilarious that not one single piece of equipment is based on any real science, yet somehow, somewhere, a fiction author made a link between electromagnetic waves and ghosts. nothing to back it up, but it has taken on a life of its own. And also now there are, if you look up an electromagnetic finder, whatever they're called, an electromagnetic field detector, they're used in legitimate construction projects.
Right.
Okay, so if you Google, I think it's even on Amazon, if you Google electromagnetic field detector, you'll get one price. However, if you Google electromagnetic field detector for ghosts, it comes at a premium and costs more money.
Listen, so you're telling me that God or whatever's running this whole show didn't pick select people to communicate with the dead, and one of them being a housewife Yenta in Long Island with Lita Ford's hairdo from 1984.
Lita Ford's hair on top of a wig.
Oh my God! I watched that, like her and remember the John Edwards guy, where he'd be like somebody with a B in there. No, C. Somebody with a C. D, E, F, G. Anybody have a fucking name with any of these letters? How do they sleep at night? How do they finish their
I don't know.
Gig, their appearance, their thing, where people are so hurt, are so lost. They've changed since whoever that person is passed on, and they're just sitting there fucking taking advantage of them in every way, shape, or form.
And that is exactly why I created this show. Yeah. And we did a full episode that explained the techniques, the actual documented techniques of cold readers like the Long Island Medium, like John Edwards, and I made a game out of them where we would be able to detect them, because it's always the same thing. If you know what you're looking for, you can find it and detect it in it and realize, oh my God, they're just simply playing a game of odds. Is all it is. Really, it's just all fucking nonsense. It's all bullshit, people. Skeptical robot. Some people have said it should be cynical robot because I believe nothing and I shit on everything. That's fine with me. We'll change the name.
Am I frozen?
Oh yeah, you are. I can hear your audio.
You start talking about this shit and they shut you down, dude.
It's the ghost.
Should I go out and come back in or refresh?
Yeah, try that if you don't mind, and I will get the package set up and I will remove you. Hey, Gummi, how's it going? If you're there, is Gummi there? He might not be there. All right. Yeah. Well, just want to let everyone know those WWE intros come from our producer, Gummi Chainsaw. Please go check him out. He is amazing. Fantastic. And again, thank you, Hellraiser69, for the 5 gifted memberships. And thank you, Hamhead, for the 20 memberships. So generous. Thank you.
I decided to turn the green screen off and just have my normal background. So
makes sense.
What's up,
makes
everybody?
sense.
Simple.
How we doing?
Can we get a little tiny bit more of the puppet's face? Just a tad, not even a full thing, just a tiny little bit.
Beautiful downtown Huntsville behind me, guys. If you could take a look at that. Where are you?
There you go. We want to keep it mysterious.
Jeez.
Hold on. Let me prop him up with his beer here.
There you go. There you go.
Too high.
Have you seen the John Puppet Corn?
No, this is the first.
That's the corn puppet. Yeah.
Fucking terrifying.
It is terrifying.
What are you, like a fucking piece of corn or something? I bet you look better on the way out. Yeah! Fuck you.
Skull.
Where's his beer?
CORNdiff, my man.
How does it look so much like John, but also it's got like roach features?
Yeah.
The finger, it's very detailed.
Yeah, the pinky, you see that? They got the spots. There's all kinds of accessories too that we're saying. This is Lockie. He's a brilliant artist. He's out in Boston, and he's the guy who made this for me.
Wow, it's terrible. It looks great.
Yeah, my life's been downhill since this thing came into the house. I'm pretty sure it's possessed, but whatever. It's a party bit, right?
Yeah. Well, oh, that should be an episode devoted to the ghost happenings of of the John puppet.
Yeah, he's my little long legs puppet over here.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Long legs puppet. I hope everyone got that. I got that joke.
Movie. That's great.
I came home from watching that movie, and my wife said, "So what's the movie about?" And I was like, "All right, let me start from the beginning." And I got like maybe 2 minutes in, and her face was like, "What?" And I'm laughing.
I'm not a huge horror guy, but I thought that movie was fucking great.
And then when I get to the part about the puppets with the silver ball, she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I was like, No, hold on, I'm almost done.
Every time I recap what we did on the show to my wife, "What'd you guys do tonight?" And 2 minutes in, she's like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good."
That's ultimately what my wife's learning, and I'm right on the cusp of getting that.
Well, I could tell you a good comedian friend of mine, his wife was talking to my wife at a Stern party, a Christmas party years ago. And her quote was, "If you love to laugh, don't marry a comedian."
Oh, I remember that.
Mike Morris. All right, let's go.
All right, so let's get started. Now, the way I structure these videos is I give an overview so that you know basically what we're going to be talking about, and then the more detailed intro. So right here, we're going to be talking about the introduction of this. Let me know if there's anything wrong with the audio.
Diego Sanchez is a UFC legend who won the respect of fight fans across multiple legendary fights stretching all the way back from when he became the first ever winner of the Ultimate Fighter.
Let me stop it there. Do you remember that, the first season?
Yeah, I mean, Ultimate Fighter was such a fucking great show. It was because we were getting a taste of like fighting on shows in the real world and stuff like that. But it was like one hit and it was over or something, you know. This was a show where they took people who all they do is fight and put them in a house together with no communication with the outside world, but plenty of alcohol. Like the first
Yes.
The first few seasons, it had nothing to do about training, finding the next great fighter. It all had to do with creating amazing must-watch reality TV. And it was smart. It was smart because you got to hook in the people that don't care for MMA, that don't, I mean, it's drama, it's storyline shit, it's soap opera shit. You have to make that work to grab the other half.
So many things went right for this show. So many things. And what's interesting is that my wife was a casual MMA fan. Because of the storylines that came out of this show, she became a very committed fan because she got invested in a lot of these people. Specifically, Forrest Griffin, the Stephan Bonner fight, which has gone down in history as one of the greatest fights, but it also saved the company because they were on the verge of bankruptcy. And this show was their last-ditch effort to try to bring them out. And it ended with this amazing fight where literally people were making phone calls and saying, "You have to put it on this channel." It's funny, the world we live in now compared to back then, but people were recommending this fight while it was live, and it gained so many viewers. It brought the UFC out of bankruptcy to what it is now.
Yeah, and those two beat the shit out of each other and saved that company. Look at a guy like Chris Lieben, right? He was in the first season, right?
He was.
Would I or you know his name? Would he have even gotten an opportunity in the UFC if he wasn't drunk off his ass on this show, pissing in the corner and upsetting and being a heel? He's being a fucking chicken shit heel. That
you said it. Yeah.
People will pay money to see, get his ass kicked. It's great.
Yep, and Josh Koscheck. I mean, so many names came out of there. And typically there isn't, I'm going to say typically, there isn't a babyface heel dynamic in MMA. There are fans and people tend to just love who they love, whatever, but there's not that whole turn on this. But that being said, Diego Sanchez was the babyface of babyfaces.
Yeah.
People loved this guy. He was charismatic. He gave 1,000% in the ring. People loved his personality. They loved his work ethic. They loved his performance. And that is what makes this story a little sad, but we'll learn more about that.
However, when Diego announced he'd fired his longtime coaches Jackson Wink in favor of being coached by a complete unknown self-help guru and master manipulator with no real martial arts experience, it would set off a chaotic chain of events that would destroy Diego Sanchez's UFC career and his credibility. Martial art.
Okay, so now, going to give just a little bit of backstory for those who aren't aware, is that Diego's, with MMA, there are camps, or gyms, associations, whatever you want to call it. And some of them are elite, meaning that they are the best of the best. They only train champions. And one of those is the Jackson Winklejohn gym in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
It's Greg Jackson, right?
Greg Jackson, Travis Winklejohn, and Diego Sanchez was one of their first ever students, if you want to call it that, attendees, to start making it big. And Jackson Winklejohn went on to become a sought-after gym because they produce champions. Big names like John Jones, George St. Pierre, they train there because this guy, Greg Jackson, Travis Winklejohn, they are masters of martial arts and strategy and training. And that is a big part of the story, is that Diego Sanchez was there. It was his home gym for a very long time. And he got someone in his ear that convinced him to just try something different.
Well, it's one thing to get in someone's ear. You have to be susceptible to this type of following a bullshitter. You have to be naive. You have to be punched in the head a lot sometimes for shit that doesn't make sense to make sense. You know what I mean?
And we are about to talk about Diego's personality and his susceptibility to things that are a little less than credible. And that was something that was on full display when he was on The Ultimate Fighter, and turned out it was very sincere and genuine. It really was. Who is? Oh, I see you know. Thank you for the $1.99, Luigi and Shuli. Let's fucking go. You got it.
Why are these people not super chatting? Let's go. You're making me look bad here. You guys are making it look like you're all fake. Come on. What's going on?
Oh, boy. I'm so glad you said that, because that becomes an element here in this story. And you'll see. You'll see. And it, again, like I said, 100% John. Anyway, all right, let's keep going.
Has always had its fair share of frauds and fakers, such as Steven Seagal or Charlie Zelenoff. But rarely have we ever seen a fraud infiltrate the elite levels of martial arts to the degree that Joshua Fabia was able to do by manipulating and controlling Diego Sanchez. Despite having no real MMA credentials, Fabia was Diego Sanchez's only coach for multiple years across 4 UFC fights, with a litany of crazy and wild moments, such as training techniques that included chasing fighters with a knife and using Diego hanging upside down as a punching bag.
I want to emphasize what we're seeing here. This was a guy who had no credentials to train a mixed martial artist. None. He had 0 credentials. He barely had a martial arts background. And it starts to leak out what this guy was doing behind the scenes, and people are laughing at it because it is so absurd and ridiculous. Let's keep going.
You mean
here.
this doesn't help you?
Wacky training methods were kind of fun.
Here's the funny thing. You know what? Let's just leave it at, let's see what he has to say.
We're not fight experts. We don't know. A fight in the octagon at any minute, any second, you could be hanging upside down while a guy's punching you. You don't know that.
I've seen it several times in ninja films. Several times.
I saw it in WWE last night.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Why not
they
there
put
too?
them in the corner with their feet hanging up. They don't protect themselves. They just take it.
And a knife. He needed
Right.
both trainings. Hamhead, thank you for the $5. Hamhead is awesome. If you, I know Hamhead is a contributor to your show as well. Hamhead was my first subscriber and has been so supportive and so encouraging since I started my channel. Hamhead, my TSN super chats and gifted memberships might all be fake, but here with Luigi, it's all real. Thank you, Hamhead.
See?
Yes.
All right, that's enough. Cut it off, guys. That's enough.
Hamhead doesn't ask for much when he sends us super chats. He just asks for this.
Good for you.
But I tend to surprise him with them. But here we go. All right.
Funny. There was nothing funny about the cultist tactics.
Just soak that picture in for a minute. This is two shirtless guys, sweaty. This is his trainer.
Yeah.
Just soak that in.
How you going to get out of a rear naked choke if you can't get out of me giving you anal right now? I mean,
Keep that in mind. That's gonna be something we're gonna brush up on a little bit later.
If you can
Fabia
dodge a
used
penis.
to control Diego's life for his own benefit to the detriment of Diego Sanchez. This tells the crazy true story of how conman Joshua Fabia destroyed Diego Sanchez's career and made him the laughingstock of mixed martial arts.
Now, again, I just want to reemphasize, Diego Sanchez was, as far as the media can tell, universally loved. He didn't have critics. He didn't have people saying, you suck. He was just loved. And I'm going to focus a little bit on who was Diego Sanchez.
Any MMA fan worth his salt knows who Diego motherfucking Sanchez is, or at least has heard about him. He was the Albuquerque native that captured the hearts of MMA fans with his quirky behavior and aggressive fighting style.
Now, when they say quirky behavior, let's talk a little bit about that, because this goes exactly to what you were saying. You have to be a little bit predisposed, a little bit susceptible, a little gullible to buy into some of this stuff. And that's what this show is all about, is trying to tell people, hey, if someone's trying to convince you of something that seems extraordinary, unreal, unbelievable, think for yourself. Whatever decision you make is your decision, but think for yourself. And he was known for doing quirky things while on the show. Like, he thought he could harness the power of thunderstorms. He did, weird. Jury's still out.
he's
did
not
these
Jewish. He's not one of ours. He can't
Good point.
universally beloved. I said it.
The other thing is, here's a thought I'm having, because seeing him fight throughout the years before this guy was in his life, he's very big on religion.
Yes, that's a part of this. Yes.
So for a con man like this guy to see a guy so wrapped up in religion, that I think for him is like a tell. It's like, oh, okay, here's an in. Like, I'll just be God. I'll be God because he doesn't have any other option. It's you know what I mean? Like,
you are 100% correct, but that is only half of the manipulation tactic. The other half is get them when they're vulnerable. And that's what we're about to talk about here, is how Diego Sanchez was predisposed, a little naive, a little gullible, maybe trusting, maybe too positive about the world, not cynical enough, but also was in a very, very bad place. And we're going to hear about it. And this is the part that gets a little sad, but then we're going to hear some of the funny shit.
Some of the most memorable fights in the UFC. Diego came crashing onto the MMA scene in 2002, running through his first few opponents in the regional circuit. The UFC took notice and invited Diego to take part in Season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter, which he ended up winning.
It's called The Ultimate Fighter, a brand new TV series where up-and-coming mixed martial artists live together while competing for a winner-take-all UFC contract.
He was very unique. He was a very spiritual guy. He was a very religious guy at the time that I knew him. It was
That was Kenny Florian. And if you
Right.
don't know, he is the guy that Diego had to beat in order to win the Ultimate Fighter show contest, whatever you want to call it, for that contract. Kenny Florian also went on to go become a great UFC fighter, commentator, even fought for the title against BJ Penn at some point. Actually met Mr. Florian in Vegas once, and he was super, super kind. But they're getting his perspective because of the fact that he had this very direct relationship with Diego when Diego was at his quirkiest, if you want to call it that, in his introduction to the world.
A long haul. I fought 3 fights in 4 months and trained twice a day, every day.
He destroyed everybody on that show. It's over. Diego wins all 3 of his fights on his way to the season finale.
You do win the 6-figure contract with the UFC. You are the Ultimate Fighter in the
Corporate Dana.
185-pound division.
Diego series being
I'm sorry, I have to put this up. Oh no, is this show about men giving each other topless hugs? You're going to see a lot of topless hugs in this, and I do apologize, but it's part of the story.
I've always said I'd probably tap out just putting on those shorts. Much less a guy bleeding and sweating laying on top of me. Like, it ain't going to take much to get me to tap. Trust me.
I'm okay with watching blood, but I have had moments where I've thought to myself, if some stranger is bleeding on me, I'm going to have a full-on panic attack.
credited as saving the UFC from bankruptcy thanks to Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner's legendary fight. In his 15-year UFC career, Diego Sanchez established himself as a fan favorite and racked up countless accolades, such as his legendary fight with Clay Guida being inducted.
If you've never seen that fight with Clay Guida, it was the fight itself was nominated into the Hall of Fame because it is one of the greatest fights you will ever see. 2 guys who just refused to give up and just continued fighting at 100% pace for 15 straight minutes.
It was the closest we've come to recreating the Coliseum battle.
Yes.
Was early UFC 1 through 5. Those were just fucking insane. No weight classes. A boxer would have one boxing glove on and not one on the other hand. Like, people didn't know what the fuck to do. And it was just teeth were flying. It was crazy.
It was a spectacle, not a sport back then.
Yeah.
But it evolved. By this point it was regulated. By this point there were weight classes,
right?
And all this. But but it had still evolved from that. You're absolutely right. And this Sanchez Guida fight is essentially the only thing I can compare it to is when Peter Griffin fights the giant chicken. Like, they would not stop, and you're like, okay, stop it at this point, and they just wouldn't. And it's a great fight. But we're gonna also learn here that Diego was a nice guy. He was actually a very, very respectable, humble person, loved his fans, and look at what he would do.
Into the UFC Hall of Fame. He has earned 7 Fight of the Night bonuses and has multiple absolute classic fights. When Diego Sanchez does retire from MMA, he will 100% be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame for his immense contributions to the sport. While Diego had earned respect from the fans inside the cage, he was also respected outside of the cage as a nice and personable guy, highlighted when he took the time out to train and have a fight with a man who has Down syndrome and had been struggling since the death of his mother, but had always dreamt of having an MMA fight. A really wholesome moment that shows the side of Diego that people grew to love. Being a native.
So just to say that, whatever you want to call it, he went out of his way to do a charitable act for a guy with Down syndrome and let the guy win. He let the guy beat him.
I lost a lot of fucking money on that fight. Fuck you, Diego.
It was his year.
Fuck off. As soon as I saw the tail of the tape, I go, put 5 large on Diego. He's going to wrap this fuck up in 2 seconds.
Remember The Simpsons? You bet against the Harlem Globetrotters? But but like this is just giving you an idea of who he was. And again, I don't feel right saying it, but it does just seem like the truth. He was too positive. He had too much positivity in his life, and he wanted to see the good in people. He wanted to see the good in life. And sometimes that gets you into trouble.
I disagree. I don't think you can have too much positivity. I think you can have too much negativity, but you can't have too much positivity. What is a factor is getting punched in the head for a living. You have to factor that in, staying positive, but just not being as aware or as smart
cognizant
about that.
Yes. CTE is actually a very, very real concern, specifically for Diego Sanchez. Of course, we can't diagnose it until they're already dead. But if you see his behaviors, it falls in line with a lot of the issues of someone with CTE.
Well, if you see his fights, there's not a lot of defense. You know what I mean?
Yes. And oh boy, yeah.
Of New Mexico, Diego had fought out of the legendary Jackson Wink MMA Academy in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with multiple championships on the gym's resume. With Diego Sanchez's reputation and legendary status cemented, a great team surrounding him, and Dana White happy to keep giving him fights despite his advancing age, Diego Sanchez was in a fantastic position for the rest of his career before enjoying a well-earned retirement.
So that's another thing, is that supposedly Dana White had such a respect and love for that first season of participants of The Ultimate Fighter that they basically had free reign to fight as long as they wanted. Whereas he was a businessman and would tell people, hey, you've seen your best days, they're behind you, you got to call it quits. Whenever these first season guys would say, Dana, can I have a chance to make some more money? He would say, okay, you got it. And he would always kind of cater to them because of the fact that he felt very grateful to them for saving the business. And again, that's also another factor that we're going to be throwing in the mix of this.
However, his life was completely turned upside down when conman Joshua Fabia wormed his way into Diego's life and became his coach, trainer, manager, therapist, mentor, and best friend. He led Diego into destroying his career.
So now let's talk about who is Joshua Fabia.
Today
Buckle up, folks.
Today we're going to practice the hookah. You ready?
Strap yourselves in, folks. This one's going to get weird, but funny.
Meet Joshua Fabia, a 38-year-old self-healing guru and owner of the School of Self-Awareness in Albuquerque, New Mexico. According to his website, Fabia began a fascination with self-healing at the age of 9, when his grandfather suffered a brain aneurysm, forcing Fabia to take the role of physical therapist and nurse him to an 85% full recovery.
Now, try to make sense of that phrase, and that is literally what is written on his website. An 85% full recovery.
I'm not perfect, but I kind of am.
It immediately gives vibes of Brian Fantana from Anchorman. 60% of the time, it works every time. And yeah, but also a little bit of backstory is that his grandfather died 2 years later. Delta Zero, thank you for the $2.99. Pair character with lovey-dovey eyes blowing red hearts in the air. He writes this. I mean, it's just an odd thing to write. I don't get it.
Love it, though. It's inspiring.
It's a super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker. Delta Zero, part of the team of the mods to the stars. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yes, so now we're going to get into the claims that Mr. Fabia makes about himself that are easily researchable. You can all go find this on his website.
Fabia's website claimed he later served as a self-defense expert in the military before forming his school at the turn of the decade. But Sanchez's decision to work with a guy with no martial arts experience immediately raised red flags. Fabia wasted no time making an impact on the UFC. In a pre-fight interview, Fabia claimed he had warned the Nevada State Athletic Commission he'd been teaching Sanchez a technique which, if applied correctly, could paralyze or even kill Kies.
Okay, so now we're gonna revert a little bit back to, this is part of our series that we've been doing on something that's called Bullshido. Don't know if you're familiar with the phrase, but yes, it is a slang term for fraudulent or ineffective martial arts. And what that typically includes are people trying to sell you on teaching you a supernatural power to defend yourself, or the dim mock, which is the death touch. We've done a lot of coverage on this, and this guy encompasses all of it. You're going to see supernatural powers involved. You're going to see, like this, a death maneuver. There is some video of him training people, and literally, I'm not kidding you, his guidance is go for the balls, grab them.
I should open an MMA school then. I can do that.
If that's all it takes. The guy's a nut job. But also notice how similar this move looks to something that you might be familiar with.
A standing guillotine before turning his hips and dropping him over his shoulder. In other words, a stone cold stunner.
He's teaching pro wrestling moves and trying to give them credibility. He literally told the Nevada State Athletic Commission that Diego Sanchez, because of his teaching, has the ability to kill a human being in the ring.
Listen, Diego, today we're going to work on something called a sunset flip, and you just got to hold his shoulders down for the 3 count, and you'll win the belt. That's simple.
Now, look, this looks like a DDT, and it works like a DDT, but I call it something different.
Have you thought about putting a giant snake on the unconscious fighter after you've beaten him?
Yes.
Nobody's doing that anymore.
And then hold him down and cut his hair.
Right.
That was always my favorite.
Oh, the hair.
Yeah, Brutus Barber.
They'd be asleep just long
the
enough
whole
for them
time.
to shave their and nobody took into account that the guy's head would be covered in sweat. Good luck shaving sweaty, wet hair. Idiots.
I loved Brutus Barber Beefcake when I was a kid. I hope you got to see CORNdiff's intro to the Ultimate Warrior theme. Gummi, amazing Gummi. Take a bow, Gummi.
Awesome work.
I haven't seen it. Send it to me.
No, it was at the beginning of the show. I think you were you had slipped away. But Gummi actually got CORNdiff to reenact all of the Ultimate Fighter's moves for his intro, and we played it. It's you got to see it. It's amazing.
From interviews he has done over the years, Fabia has claimed that he was brought up early in the culture of Filipino martial arts by his grandfather, who was a soldier in the Philippine Army. Many of Fabia's other claims appear to be of a far more dubious nature. For example,
this is where it gets good. Listen in.
Fabia's bio on the School of Self-Awareness website boasts that when Josh was only 9 years old, his grandfather suffered a heart attack and ruptured brain aneurysm, at which point Fabia acted as his physical therapist and worked with him to recover to a remarkable 80% full recovery. That same bio states that Fabia has an innate understanding of the human body, and that he has extensive specialized experience in defense, protection, human rights, and physical therapy.
Where does human rights fit into that? I don't really get that, but whatever. Somebody bought into it.
He doesn't teach defense of heart attacks, I'll tell you that.
What's amazing, I want to talk so much already, but we'll get there.
Quite the Renaissance man. But it doesn't stop there. Promotional videos created by the School of Self-Awareness paint Fabia as a nearly Christ-like figure who is feared, respected.
So there, I wanted to keep some of this video in. He is somehow transmitting vibes into the minds of this person, and it looks like they're in Iraq, because that's that famous place built into the mountain.
Is it Iraq or Jordan?
Jordan. I'm sorry. Yeah. You're right, Jordan. And
I keep tabs on all of them. So I know
you're required to, though. I'm not.
My dad schooled me on all this shit real early.
It's funny. Every story you've told me about your dad just sounds so funny and amazing in such a fun way that I'd love for you to make a story or do an episode of stories your dad told you. Anyway, that's something. But
There's plenty. Believe it.
But shit like this is funny, and we're going to get into the area of specifically where I intended to mention that. I brought it in a little too early. Sorry, but this guy worked for special forces. And some things get mentioned about Krav Maga and working for the Israeli paramilitary something. I don't know. He uses a bunch of buzzwords, but that's where I started to think about your dad. But
and loved by people around the world.
Baptized in violence and extremes, he was formed into something formless.
Okay, this is his website. I'm not making this up, folks. This is what is on his website. He has this, and it is the School of Self-Awareness is the name of his school, whatever the fuck you want to call it, church, mosque, whatever the right term is. But yes, he praises himself. He's now having a narrator praise him with all of these mystical qualities. Oh, Hamhead, thank you for the $5. I wonder why all the karate guys you've covered didn't get involved in the UFC in some way. If they're teaching wrestling, why not the dim mak? That's what we said the whole time, which is if you could kill someone simply by squeezing their kneecap, why isn't this guy in the UFC demonstrating all of this? It's funny that they were never given an opportunity. By the way, Shuli, I'm not making this up. When we started covering the dim mak, it was brought to the United States by a guy named Count Dante. His real name was Mike. He was Irish, but he changed his name to sound like something more mysterious. And he wrote a book about death touches, like the shit that you would see in like old ninja movies. You know, you touch someone in the right spot and then they die.
Sure.
So his teaching, as we learn with every con artist, is to make it vague and fallible so that when you don't do it exactly right according to what he says, you know, or you don't get the same results, he has the ability and the room to say, well, you didn't do it right. So you got to confuse it up a little bit. And the way he confused it was by saying, well, if you're going to do a death touch, you have to touch the chi. And the chi actually moves throughout the day. It's never in the same spot. It's never in the same place.
Yeah.
You got to go and you got to find it. So depending on the time of day when you're trying to touch that chi, it's in different parts of the body. And guess what? There was a certain time of the day that it was in the butthole.
Like clockwork. Like clockwork, man.
And I'm not making that up. It was in his book. We've talked about it. We showed it. We showed the diagram. We showed everything. And, but yes, that's what we're talking about here. These people who claim that they have mystical abilities, magical abilities, dim mak abilities, somehow never make it to a place where they can actually demonstrate these powers. But here's the crazy thing. This guy did convince Diego Sanchez of a no-touch knockout, George Dillman-esque power where you can use your chi and knock somebody out. And Diego tried to use it in the UFC and failed.
That's too bad. We should have tried it in practice first.
That's the funny thing is when you try it in practice, you got a room full of people who want to make you feel good and they all play along.
Yeah.
But here we go. So let's listen to what this narrator has to say.
Training and supporting others since the age of 8 years old. Raised by the world. He's a teacher of teachers. Loved more than feared.
Loved more than feared. You ever had a woman say that about you?
He was born in the darkness.
Raised by the world.
Raised. By the time he saw light, he was already a man. That's from Batman. That's what I thought we were doing.
He was quoted as saying, "The shadows betray you because they belong to me."
Okay. I thought we weren't on the same page for a second there.
No, I'm there with you, man.
Yes. And, oh, it's amazing. But this shit just cracks me up.
He is a necessary evil.
He's trusted by the most trustworthy. So basically all we're doing is we're taking one value and accelerating it and saying he's better than the most blah, 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 blah. He's a teacher of teachers, trusted by the most trustworthy, loved by the most lovable.
King shit of fuck mountain.
I mean, that is basically it.
Feared by many, respected by even more.
The truth about...
Name one. Name one of those people.
You ever watch the show Summer Heights High? You ever see that show?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Big fan.
So it's this comedian, Chris Lilly, and he did this series. It's tough to get a hold of now because I guess it's deemed wildly inappropriate. But
some might say.
He basically plays like 4 or 5 different characters, and it's filmed at a school in New Zealand or Australia, and basically what he told the students is, if you can keep your shit together during the scenes, you'll make it into the final cut. But if
Yes.
you start laughing, we got to get rid of you. Nobody. So one of the characters he plays is this really flamboyant, just do it, drama teacher by the name of Mr. G. And this is one of the exercises he's doing in his class. He's literally rolling around on a ball. And I love the idea of drama class is just all his students watching him act. Like, that's how into himself he is. This is what this reminds me of, seeing that.
And you're not far off.
Yeah.
My favorite of the Summer Heights High was Jamie. Jamie.
Spelled Jamie, pronounced Jamie.
And if you see exactly what you're saying, where he tells everyone not to crack up, there's this one blooper outtake where he's talking about how Jamie was making out with a boy and farted, and she's describing the fart to this room full of schoolgirls, and they cannot keep it together. And they say, "What did the fart sound like?" She goes, "I don't know, something like."
Yeah.
And no one in the room could keep it together, and they couldn't use the take, and it is so fucking funny just to watch the outtakes.
All his shit is brilliant. If you go on iTunes, they have like a bunch of his series. You can buy like a bundle of them, and I got them all. I love his shit.
What's funny is that's where I had to buy it because HBO wouldn't stream it anymore because it was too offensive.
You have one Down syndrome student and goddamn special, and everybody freaks out. It was great.
It's some funny shit, and he had a Netflix show where he played a bunch of different characters. Anyway,
Fabia started to emerge. Despite claiming to be a military self-defense expert, it was revealed Fabia had taken a commando Krav Maga course and paid a fee to be certified.
So he was going around telling people that he was being hired as a trainer for paramilitary groups in Israel, but it turns out he had to pay money in order to join this group and to be certified to learn what to teach. So
he also claimed he was a writer for The Tonight Show.
Man, the John similarities are around the corner, and you are going to enjoy it. I promise. Yes, exactly.
What you'll quickly notice about Fabia is that he is a man who loves the smell of his own farts. After watching a few of these clips, you may be wondering what qualifications a self-help guru has to coach a UFC fighter. Well, this is where things get a bit murky. Fabia has been very vague about his experience in athletics in general, and combat sports in particular.
In essence, the way most people think of sports and the world of participating, you have the American way of seeing it, man. You have the, okay, you went to grade.
Try to make sense of any of this nonsense that's coming out of his mouth.
Well, it's not by the way, no coincidence that the lie spider is right behind
and
him.
shit. I would say something, but I don't know the voice modulator you need for the lie spider. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. No, go ahead. Play that.
You play the sports here, you go to this is a feeder system, right? You go from this to this to this to this. You're going.
So this is him defending when he was directly asked on a show, what qualifications do you have to train an elite at the highest possible level? Elite seems like an understatement. The highest possible level of MMA fighter with no known experience.
I mean, imagine you're hiring a personal trainer to come help you train, and the guy shows up with a meatball hero and he's 400 pounds.
And says it's his first day.
Or not even that. When you go, hey, what's your experience? Personal trainer goes, it's not important right now. And he just keeps eating his sandwich. He goes, don't worry about that. Let's focus on your exercises today.
Exactly. Now, here's where it gets even a little bit weirder is this guy cannot stop fucking talking. He just loves to talk and talk and talk, and it gets him into trouble. And when they're saying to him, hey, tell us what your qualifications are, he starts making up all of these very, very weird comparisons of, here are other things I did that are in the same ballpark of martial arts that should qualify me, and I'm not even going to say more than that. Just listen to his own words.
Be pro if you're lucky. Okay. I've been traveling around the world since I was born. I was on the first kindergarten rugby league in Christchurch, New Zealand.
Okay.
What more do you need to hear? I mean, he's obviously qualified.
How Diego doesn't stiff arm this guy in the face and just walk out after that. Kindergarten rugby team.
Paved the way.
And as if
I don't even know the rules of rugby. You're telling me kindergartners pick it up?
And now, as a 38-year-old, it qualifies him to teach the most high. What would you want to call it?
MMA. Yeah,
high-level MMA, but yeah, the most finely tuned athletic machines of MMA.
Look at the way this guy is built. He would get destroyed in kindergarten rugby. I'm telling you.
Especially in New Zealand. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been asking questions since I was in the 3rd grade. Same shit.
Oh my God. I need to create an AI voice of Joshua Fabia saying John quotes.
Right.
My principal allowed Stiff Minister to play at a
get his voice and do this one.
The only reality is mine.
Scram, Nan Cram.
Participated in martial arts my whole life through actual family tradition of understanding things. Quite a bit different than going to a place and giving them money.
So now let's talk about how this all happened, which is a pretty interesting story.
He was like a certified MMA star. Like everybody knew who he was.
So after he did the show, he's famous. He is famous to some degree.
He got a lot of attention, doing photo shoots everywhere.
While to the casual fan, it may have seemed like Diego had everything in his life together, the reality was actually very different. And it was this instability that made Diego Sanchez a ripe target for a con man like Joshua Fabia. Diego Sanchez had previously shown a worrying susceptibility to getting scammed.
In 2008, Sanchez befriended former MMA fighter Dan Quinn, believing Quinn's claims that stevia, the sugar substitute, could not only fuel rockets but was a miracle cure for basically everything.
I want you to hear that because we're about to actually see exactly where Diego stood on this. He believed that the sugar substitute stevia could cure cancer.
You know what? I advise everybody out there to pay attention to what I'm saying. Stevia is the cure. He started drinking stevia, just tons of it, and it transformed his body. And there's been other miracles like his cat and his uncle and my girlfriend Allie.
It's hard to take a man serious with an ice pack on his face.
What the hell was he doing with that cat?
This is all just to simply lay the foundation for exactly what we talked about earlier, that Diego was susceptible to things that just didn't have a lot of credibility. He was a little predisposed to wanting to believe crazy things.
You want to move up to heavyweight? Sweet and low, my friend. It's the secret ingredient.
Stevia, like
who are you talking about it?
Who got that idea? Who even came up with this? I'll bet this is. Where is that guy now?
It's like he's like throwing a dart behind him to a list of words up on the wall. He goes, "All right, stevia. That's what it hit. All right, stevia does it all, guys. We're gonna run with that."
All right, I gotta just say this. Daisy Greenberg, Diego looks like an abused wife here, where we were playing earlier with that interview. Blink twice so we know you're okay. That is actually the Mrs. Greenberg. She's watching.
Oh, that'll
a miracle plant.
He'd then fall into the classic rock and roll lifestyle, trust
like partying and addiction to alcohol and drugs. Just months after Diego Sanchez's fight of the year against Clay Guida in 2009, he discovered that a friend he had entrusted to look after his finances had actually scammed him for $150,000.
Okay, now this is what we talked about, about being at a low point. He, shortly after one of the biggest wins of his life, one of the highest of highs, finds out someone scammed him of $150,000, and a friend. It was supposedly a friend.
No small sum for a UFC fighter, especially in 2009, when purses were even smaller than they are now. This scam, combined with his excessive partying, meant Diego's finances were a complete mess, and he hit rock bottom with $230,000 owed in taxes. These financial problems only increased his dependency on alcohol and drugs, which then began to impact his performances in the cage. Diego was sparked to turn his life around when he found out that he had fathered a child with a woman he had slept with a few years back. After looking at the child, Diego was convinced it looked like him and immediately took the child in and raised it as his own, while using the new addition to the family as fuel to get his career back on track. However, a few years later, when the mother of this child began to give him issues regarding custody, it resulted in Diego taking a court-mandated DNA test that proved he wasn't even the father and had been conned into raising the kid by the mother.
So,
could have been worse. It could have revealed that on Maury Povich.
This is all now showing where he was emotionally. I mean, this is a shitty place to be.
Even kids are scamming him. I mean, this guy's an idiot.
But I mean,
kid's black. I mean, what is
the kid was Asian.
Kid was Asian. 33, the kid. What's wrong with this kid?
I just cannot imagine, having a friend stab you in the back, then finding out you've been raising a kid that isn't yours, all within a span of a couple of years. I mean, that's a lot. And then it gets worse.
While this could have sent Diego Sanchez's life spiraling, he instead dedicated himself to Jesus and became even more religious than he already was, and his career continued to plow on for years to come. Unfortunately, there was further turmoil to come for Diego, and this turmoil would produce the opportunity for Joshua Fabia to worm his way into Diego's life. As Diego aged, his performances naturally began to decline, and he began to get knocked out more frequently. These knockouts, combined with the fact that Diego had been in countless wars over the years, concerned his wife, who wanted him to retire before he got seriously hurt. Diego refused to retire and took this as his wife not believing in him anymore and giving up on him, something that would eventually lead to them separating.
I pushed.
So exactly like what you're saying, this guy took so many blows to the head. And he was known to have like that George Foreman style of fighting of, I'm just going to keep pushing forward. Nothing they're going to do is going to knock me down. I'm going to just take as whatever they can give me to my face and my head until it's my turn. And his wife says, basically, you're already suffering from CTE. You're already showing signs of this. You got to stop. And he not only disagrees with her, but separates from her and says she's wrong, she doesn't believe in him anymore, and takes the complete opposite stance on it. And now he's in the middle of a divorce.
It's like Will Ferrell and Anchorman when they told him he just cursed on the air, and he just looks at me and he goes, I don't believe you. What do you think of that?
That's exactly it. Hamhead, thank you for the 10 gifted Luigi Greenberg memberships. Yes, thank you, Shuli. Thank you. Oh man, thank you so much. Let's see. How's that? Wait, you want the long one.
Fresh.
He gets what he pays for.
And
you got a Shuli fart as well. There you go. I hope farts are on sale today. It's Memorial Day. All right.
I pushed my ex-wife away because she was pushing me towards retirement, and she didn't want to see me get hurt. And I took it as, you giving up on me. You don't believe in me.
Over the next 7 years, he remains a fan favorite.
All right, so I want to point out that now we're using Vice footage. Vice did an episode on this story recently, but I don't think they really went into depth the way that it could have been done. So probably going to get a copyright strike on this, but that's what I do for my audience.
Right here, you hear that?
Win some Fight of the Night bonuses for his Octagon performances.
Diego!
But can't put a string of wins together. And he never gets another title shot.
I want a rematch.
He's once more emotionally adrift. as he struggles to prepare for his next fight.
With Diego vulnerable heading into a fight with up-and-comer Mickey Gall, he found salvation from an unlikely source when he met fellow Albuquerque native Joshua Fabia 10 days before the fight.
I got a hood on, taking out a little bit of my...
I want to point out this pre-fight warm-up that we're seeing here. He is on his butt kicking a balloon.
Yeah, they teach that. It's an IDF tactic, by the way.
This is what 4 and 5-year-olds do when they get a new balloon. But
one of the most fun games you can play with your kid is just don't let the balloon hit the ground. That's it. That's it.
And this is what Fabia told him is going to make him an elite athlete.
Because listen, Diego, at some point in the second round, I'm going to throw a balloon in the ring, and that's your cue to let him have it.
And now, okay, so now here's our next training tactic. The floor is lava.
Yeah, exactly. This is great.
My own inner anger. This little guy, very small, starts walking up. I don't know what it was about my intuition, but he was walking up very smooth. I never seen a human being walk that smooth. Point my finger and I go, "What do you do?" I'm going through a hard time right now. I'm going through a divorce, and I didn't have anybody at the time that could really talk to me about it. And before you know it, I felt like I was in a counseling session.
Tip of the blade and 2 sides.
The man's name is Joshua Fabia, and Diego books a training session with.
Now, I wanted to be very mindful of your time, but there were so many videos that are available online on YouTube of him teaching stretch exercises and breathing exercises, and my God, they are comedy gold. But I didn't want to put them all together in one place, but maybe we'll do some members only stuff watching his nonsense bullshit. But the dude is a lunatic. He's just a fucking lunatic.
With him to see what else he can offer. Diego starts working with Fabia at the Jackson Wink gym, supplementing his regular training.
Now, I want to make a point of saying this here is that that's not unusual. When it comes to MMA, because of the fact that there are so many disciplines being utilized for the sport, it is not uncommon to have more than one coach for each discipline. That means you can have a boxing coach, you can have a kicking coach, you can have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, a wrestling coach. That is not unusual. But the situation here is that he is at the elite of elite gyms. He doesn't need it. He is getting the best possible training from proven, dedicated coaches who have already shown exactly what they can do and what they can bring to the table when it comes to athletes. And he brings in this guy with 10 days left before his fight. There is a 10-day, distance between him and this fight. Camps usually take somewhere between maybe 6 weeks. I've heard of camps taking 3 months. Preparing for a fight. There are 10 days left, and he runs into this fucknut in a gym and says, I want you to start helping me at this elite gym. I'm sorry, it's getting me angry.
Yeah.
And hold on. Hammett, thank you for the $2. Thanks for not tanking your appearance, Shuli, like Cardiff Electric.
Isn't it ironic that the initials CE stand for Cardiff Electric and for cum eating? Thank you.
I think it was on purpose.
Thank you.
So that is the situation here.
Diego would bring in other coaches constantly. Sometimes it really worked out.
Coming in, look to the left.
Like I've made some great friends through the people that Diego has brought in.
The stuff he did was a little different because he came from a different type of mentality of training.
Very few people are complete martial artists anymore. Because I understand the gray space of everything in between, I can do any sport. So working with Diego in martial arts, as I am also a martial artist, not a big deal.
There's so much to be said from that little tiny sentence where he says, I am also a martial artist.
Well, because of the gray area.
Because of the gray area.
He can be a hockey goalie. He can be a martial artist.
A kindergarten rugby player.
Yeah. Hey, tomorrow I'm going to be a fireman. Thursday I'm a cowboy. Whatever. Go nuts.
You're you're joking and you're getting the vibe here, but that's exactly what he's fucking saying. I mean, he is really trying to sell the point that he is, in fact, a guru, some spiritual master that can master anything with just the slightest little bit of effort.
This is really an infomercial about CTE because this guy isn't even good at it. You know what I mean? Like he's not even a good bullshitter. So it's a numbers game. How many punches do you need to get hit with before a guy shows up and says, "Have you ever tried just walking around to kick?" And you go, I never thought of that. That makes a lot of sense. No, I've never tried walking slowly around a guy trying to kick my head off.
You are 100% correct. But what's funny is that Diego Sanchez seems to be the only person that doesn't get it. We're going to see here very, very quickly when this guy opens his fucking stupid mouth, everybody around him sees right through him, except Diego. And that becomes where this story gets really interesting.
You come over and we'd work just stuff that I never trained before. We do vision training, we do balance training, we do
vision training and balance training. I guess balance, there's probably some legitimate part there.
That could be useful.
Yeah, but listen to the next one.
movement training. I remember going
movement training. One thing he left out there was that Joshua Fabia, when he was interviewed, would frequently say he coaches Diego's breathing.
Oh, I got bowel movement training.
I mean, it is unbelievable what this guy was able to do.
that might not be the most effective thing to do. But again, sometimes there's methods to the madness that I don't understand.
Now, that is, again, one of the most respected, proven, pedigreed coaches in MMA saying, I'm going to keep an open mind. I don't get it, but if this works for him, basically his point is saying, my job is to make Diego good. My job is to make him better. My job is to make him the best. If that is helping him, fine. But then we start to see a little bit more of what's going on.
Including Diego's use of psychedelics to allegedly reignite his inner warrior.
It was pretty evident that I wasn't going to learn much there. But, you know, if Diego believed in him and the guy could get Diego to push that extra inch, good for him. The medicine of choice was psilocybin mushrooms. Mushrooms are an intense...
Can I just say something?
Go on, please.
I'm a big fan of mushrooms. I've done them many times in my life. Maybe I didn't have the right batch, but I've never taken mushrooms and it's unlocked the inner warrior in me. That I can tell you.
Oh, you need to try different mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought I was melting. I've taken a batch that made me laugh for hours. I've taken a batch that made me taste music, but I have never taken a batch that has unlocked. Mushrooms don't unlock the inner warrior. I hate to tell you that.
Echo Pineapple celebrates 7 months of membership. Thank you, Echo Pineapple, friend of the show. Oh man. So, yes, I think you're getting now what's going on. This guy isn't just telling him nonsense. He's now making sure that there is a physical control of his mind.
Well, it's like a pimp with
yes.
a runaway, right? You got
100%.
You got to break him mentally, and now he's in the palm of his hands. You know,
that's it, and it gets worse.
This thing is pretty wild experience. I could go into how
Not gonna lie, there's a really weird connection here between this and Baby Reindeer.
Oh yeah,
shooting up out of my body.
But that comes into play also. We'll see.
Seeing the stars from the lowest point on Earth in a way that he said no one else has ever done it. It's only me and him. That
Can I just say this too? Don't explain it to anybody.
Don't.
It's
yes.
dumb. You sound like an idiot. Nobody will feel or experience what you felt. Just keep it to yourself.
100%. Now, again, for the sake of time, I didn't want to include a lot of shit, but at this moment, now that he's got his hooks into Diego, he starts feeding him a bunch of lines of bullshit. Yeah. He claims that he was an assassin for the CIA.
Sure.
He starts claiming that he can heal himself with his mind. Apparently, at one point, he has a broken leg, but the next day, he's walking fine, and Diego says, "What'd you do?" He says, "I healed myself."
I was a starter on the kindergarten, first grade assassin squad.
I went back in time and made sure that the leg was never broken. I mean, he's feeding him this line of bullshit. And the weirdest part about this is that even after this story is over, Diego still actually believes it. And Diego's done interviews where he said, "Hey, man, even though I saved myself, I'm still scared of him because he's killed a lot of people." And one interviewer outright just says, "Diego, he lied to you. He did not kill anybody." And Diego's like, "I don't know, man. I don't know."
Like, what's next? He didn't play kindergarten rugby? Nice try.
It is so strange, the control that this guy has over this guy's mind. And the fact that it's happening to someone who is so beloved, so respected, and, just,
it's like hypnotism. It doesn't work on everybody.
Yes.
You have to be susceptible to it. And
yes.
And it's the same with getting fucking caught up with a cult leader.
Yes. OG Mumbling Nick celebrates 3 months of membership. Thank you very much, OG Mumbling Nick. Appreciate you. Stachuncha, thank you for the $5. The merciless shrooms of Quetzalcoatlanango. Grown deep in the jungle primeval by the inmates of a Guatemalan insane asylum.
All right, I didn't try that batch. When I was in Amsterdam, that was not on the menu.
I believe that's a Simpsons reference. I'm not certain. I believe it is. I'll admit, Chunk likes to send in Simpsons references, and I'm usually very good about identifying them. This one, I got to say, I'm a little iffy on. But Chunksta also gifted 10 Luigi Greenberg memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you for the generosity. Thank you, everyone out there. We appreciate it. Thank you so, so, so much. All right, let's get back to this.
Fabia positioned himself as a coach and guru who could help elevate Diego to new levels while also being the friend Diego
Thank you for 1 month of membership, Dirnbag. Glad to have you.
Desperately needed. As the fight was just 10 days away, they had very limited time to work together, with 95% or more of the work being done by Diego's longtime coaches at Jackson Wink. But when Diego turned in one of the best performances of his career and earned his first performance of the night bonus ever, it was Joshua Fabia who took most of the credit.
Okay, so I'm going to just sum this up real quick, is that he fought a guy who was legit feared for Diego, because Diego was, on the tail end of his career. He's going up against a young up-and-comer, and people didn't really have a lot of faith that Diego could win this fight, but Diego turns in a fantastic performance. Now, again, the majority of his training was with the camp that he was with his whole time, the Jackson Winklejohn camp. 10 days where Fabia contributed to the camp. It wasn't even like solely with him. He just contributed to the camp. But who takes the credit? Fabia.
Fabia made it clear that he was the one providing value, and he was the reason for Diego's performance, despite the fact he'd only worked with him for 10 days and wasn't in his corner at the fight.
The first one that I'm involved in is the best fight he's had in 10 years. Nobody wants to acknowledge and give me credit for that. No public media says anything, but if I'm obviously the only thing new, it might be that.
To the outside...
Now, this is so telling of what we're going to see in the future. He starts doing interviews saying, I'm the reason Diego's better. I'm the only thing that was different. It wasn't, Diego's performance. It wasn't his perspective or his refocus on the sport while on the tail end of his career. Joshua Fabia is saying to people in the media that he wants credit for being this factor in Diego's camp.
When does he start yelling that he's the Duke? And now we all need to call him the Admiral or the Duke from now on.
Very soon. Very, very soon. We're going to get to that very quickly. The Duke.
The world, these claims seemed laughable, but unfortunately Diego was not laughing and instead was fully bought into the BS that Fabia was selling him. After the Mickey Gall fight, Diego took the decision to fire his longtime trainers at Jackson Wink and instead align himself with Joshua Fabia as his only coach.
Okay, so like we said earlier, that there are multiple coaches in a camp, he has now just completely got his claws into Diego's brain and says, you don't need that elite professional MMA camp anymore. You know what you need? You only need me. That's it. And Diego jumps on board.
From there, Fabia would start to control more and more aspects of Diego's life under the guise of supporting Diego and giving him the attention that he wasn't getting before. But to understand how unexpected it was for Diego to fire his Jackson Wink coaches in favor of Fabia, we need to understand a bit more about Joshua Fabia's background and what qualified him to coach at the highest level of mixed martial arts. Prior to becoming Diego Sanchez's only coach, Joshua Fabia wasn't exactly coaching at the top level of martial arts competition. In fact, he wasn't even coaching martial arts at all. In fact, Fabia would claim that he never even asked to be a part of the MMA world in the first place.
I am coming from the outside, completely. I never asked to be here. I never said I'm in your market, I want to get an MMA team.
So if Joshua Fabia wasn't coaching MMA before he became a UFC fighter's coach, what was he doing? Well, for some background, we can check his website, which is named School of Self-Awareness. Joshua Fabia described...
Yeah, soak all that in. Soak that in. It's just amazing.
...himself as a healer. Fabia described...
A healer.
...himself as having a deep understanding of a wide range of topics, including, but not limited to, self-defense,
I like that.
building,
Hold on, that last
meditation,
technique was good. That was the see if you could touch my cock and balls training.
I don't know what the hell that was. That seemed like some sort of line dancing in a Dutch colonial movie. But
okay, you try to grab my penis and I'll try to get hard. Ready?
Go. Yes. Oh yeah, he's also an expert at massage. He claims that on his website. Hard to believe, right? You don't say.
What'd you want to learn? Stand up, takedowns, jujitsu. Oh, massage? Yeah, come on in. We got a class starting in a half hour.
Sir, you've come to the right place.
And human rights. He also claims to be certified in personal training, several military fields, breathing, and crucially, martial arts.
I learned to breathe.
I wasn't doing it right, turns out.
So just a little bit of a small transition here before we get on to our next topic. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the fights that involved Joshua Fabia that Diego was fighting at the time. So a little bit of a recap of Mickey Gall.
When Diego fights as an underdog against the younger and taller Mickey Gall, Jackson Wink trainers are still in Diego's corner.
Back up against the fence. Sanchez changes levels.
Got a Darce though. He looks for a Darce. He doesn't have it.
So this is the fight that we just talked about where Joshua Fabia had worked with him for 10 days. We're going to see. He's doing a great job.
Straight shot. But it's Joshua Fabia inside Diego's head.
He was in the stands, and I could hear him in the stands.
Saying, I love you.
He showed that greatness, and so I think it surprised a lot of people that he was able to beat somebody as tough as Gall.
Earning nearly $200,000, Diego celebrates in the cage with his Jackson Wink team.
The next day after the Mickey Gall fight, the divorce was finalized. You know, I'm just trying to move forward in life.
But at a press conference 3 weeks before his next fight, Diego makes a surprise announcement that he's also divorcing his longtime trainers.
No more JW. Jackson Wink, one of the best teams in the world. Oh, I'm going in with one trainer.
This is when my team didn't give me the love that I felt that I deserved at that moment.
The universe brought me Josh Fabia right at the right time. It's a true perfectionist putting in that perfection to make me the perfect fighter.
And I think that these guys get in Diego's ear, and they know. They're relentless with it. They go over and over, and they create problems where, well, it wasn't a problem.
The fact that Joshua Fabia wasn't training any other fighters meant he could devote 100% of his time to coaching Diego and supporting him in any way possible. And Fabia quickly made sure to control as much of Diego's life as possible by appointing himself as Diego's manager, taking control of all of his social media, and putting himself in the spotlight whenever possible.
So that's the really important thing that we're going to see here, is that as we're moving through Diego and Joshua's relationship, he starts putting himself first a lot of the time. He fights this other guy named Michael Chiesa. He loses, and he loses very badly, like terribly. And it looks like he's just a shell of himself. And then after that, people start to get concerned. Go ahead.
I just bring this up real quick? Like, so this guy is training him for his fighting, yet yet one of the things that is required for him to be your trainer is for him to take over your social media. Like, who's this guy think he is? Nick Rekieta? Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I'll be on later today and tonight. Thanks. Go ahead, Luigi.
That becomes a huge part of this story, is taking over the social media. But let's talk a little bit about like what happens after the Chiesa fight.
Masses manipulated minds.
If you think it's the UFC that's out to,
I don't know at this point.
This is what I wanted to get to here.
Joshua would indeed, sir.
He gets on the radar after such a terrible performance by Diego. He gets on Joe Rogan's radar.
Oh, great. I was wondering if Rogan ever talked about
as the lone cornerman for the Chiesa fight. But it wasn't Diego's lopsided loss that made headlines. It was Fabia's exploits both cage side and behind the scenes. To put it nicely, his corner work wasn't the best. Anyway, what was notable about Fabia's corner work was that it served as inspiration for Joe Rogan to eviscerate him on his podcast.
He had the one guy in his corners telling him, be like Tyson. Go out there and be like Tyson.
No fucking way did he say that.
Yes, he did. He was giving him weird advice.
This is voodoo coach. Oh, this is his coach.
This is the voodoo coach that would be Diego Sanchez's corner. No one else. This dude has no experience as an MMA coach, by the way. So this is the dude that's telling him to be like Tyson.
He's doing like water right now. You see that slip? That slip?
Bro.
And strangely enough, this would turn out to be significant because it would compel Fabia to reveal his true nature, which is that he's a massive conspiracy theorist with a victim mentality.
Here is
he would
the John
habitually refer
crossover.
back to Rogan, intimating that any criticism was a function of Joe's influence. In other words, he alleged that Rogan had galvanized a media smear campaign against him.
Truly starts from
He's
Joe
jelly.
Rogan's dumbass talking out of turn, slandering somebody.
That's part of the narrative being spilt when Joe Rogan's putting up, I don't know who he's got. I don't know this guy. So then saying all this has set the tempo for everybody to repeat it, since we're in a copycat culture.
Fabia would then later imply that the UFC were involved too, alleging that they had funded the creation of fake profiles, bots essentially, to slander him online.
So
Fake
this
profiles?
thing that clearly
I don't
you
even
have to
have
money
sock
to do
accounts.
to put the slander on the amount of content, negative context on all of our posts, so nobody sees our posts. That's fucking with the big term analytics and messing with the masses manipulated minds.
if you think it's the UFC that's out to,
I don't know at this point. Our lawyers will be getting back to us with the end of our cyber investigation.
Wait for it.
Sales pitch.
Wait for it. Now,
Be ready. Be strong.
let's talk a little bit about exactly what you just brought up, the social media.
And
So tell them what School of Self-Awareness will teach you with this online course. Go ahead, tell them, since you're the guide in the course, Diego.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to get in more detail about the School of Self-Awareness and sell it on to the people that don't know about it.
I'll do it for Diego.
Go ahead.
Make it a little
Go ahead.
easier.
Yeah, definitely.
The first thing to understand is,
We have very bad Wi-Fi.
and it
Yes.
believes that one person can change the world when you start with yourself.
Wow.
That's it, man.
This
47
carry-on was
minutes of
constant,
rambling.
too. Every interview would eventually turn into an infomercial.
I would like you, sir, with your beautiful reading voice, to read this testimonial from a federal marshal, U.S. federal marshal, here in New Mexico, in America, in the real Breaking Bad, where real shit happens. Please, sir, let them know that Mr. Diego has not been bamboozled.
CTE, guys.
this whole, it's pretty long.
Yeah, it's okay.
Anyways, then there was the OnlyFans, which was problematic for a multitude of reasons.
What?
OnlyFans?
What?
Huh. Seems odd, right?
Did not see that coming.
No. How much to see your feet, Diego?
Oh, listen.
Sanchez and Fabia apparently had an equal stake in it, and that was already ridiculous because nobody was subscribing for the latter, although that wasn't its biggest issue. OnlyFans, thanks to its biggest creators, is known primarily for explicit content. Joshua and Diego, however, were adamant that their site had nothing to do with that. It was simply a place where fans could get a behind-the-scenes look at a UFC fighter. But here's the thing, Fabia couldn't help himself, and he started posting these descriptions to entice potential subscribers.
Some of these choice posts that were hidden behind paywalls had titles like, "You know you like that tight butt, winky face, 2 guys,
Yeah.
1 shirtless, one with tight little shorts. Can you imagine which one is which? Give me a stick and I'll show you what you can do with it." And
This is his coach doing this.
this may not be sex, but it is sexy and enticing. Winky face.
Quotes like, "You know you like that little tight butt." What kind of training video is that exactly putting out there?
I like how you're in the media and you don't know that market.
So now I just want to bring up
not his fault.
not his fault.
Right,
Not his
right.
fault. And it's everyone else's fault for not understanding. But here's what's interesting. This rumor starts getting around. Did Diego and Joshua have a sexual relationship? And we don't know. But let's take a look at some of these pictures and you tell me, do these look gay to you?
Everything has so far.
Especially the training.
Anything look gay about
Especially
that?
this.
What about this? Does this look gay to you?
Oh.
Now here's the last one. Does this look gay to you?
Yes. Yes. I came 4 times twice looking at that. Let's go. Hey, comics. We got competition, dude.
That would be the
love
last we'd
that.
see of
All
Fabia's
right.
business chops because he'd released this.
So I know you got a heart out, so I'm gonna just kind of jump around here a little bit and show some of the highlights of what happened with this, and maybe we'll cover this on another episode.
On OnlyFans, evidently thinking it was a win.
How much do you want for the side model? I mean, obviously this is, you want a bigger cut.
So Fabia starts posting videos on the OnlyFans accounts of his negotiations, private negotiations with these companies.
Well, in a way, it's more accurate to OnlyFans because you're watching a guy get fucked. It's just in a contract deal, not in a sexual way.
But here's what's amazing is he starts doing things that he thinks make him look good. They make him look terrible. Watch this.
You don't have the right to even call the cut on this. And so the same way you wanted to play 90-10, we're at 90 fucking 10. Okay, so this is that's what I'm saying. I'm getting irritated. Okay, well, I'm irritated. So I'm saying, no, you shut up and listen to me, goddammit. All right, because I'm sick and tired of your bullshit. Oh, I'm bullshit. I'm bullshit.
Ronnie Mons.
It does look like Ronnie, doesn't it?
Yeah, we do. And so we're also in a contract that I'll call the lawyer, and you guys involved with somebody that you're not a viable fucking business. You're not making real money. You guys under false account. Get the fuck out. Sit down. You guys under false. Get the fuck out.
I'm just doing something that is different. And the point is,
So, yeah, he is losing his fucking mind. And a big part of this is that he thinks he's not getting respect for being such a good trainer. Seriously.
Right. If you were good at what you did, they would respect you for it. That's
exactly. And let's skip around a little bit. And again, we'll go back and we'll cover all of these details we weren't able to cover. But we have something on the show that we like to do. There is a certain, I guess you can call her a character that we like to use on here. That if you are familiar with the show, she is the destroyer of grifters.
Even more and take some of the attention off of Diego. Footage recorded and leaked by Fabia of Diego Sanchez's pre-fight meeting with the broadcast team showed Fabia hijacking the entire meeting to go on yet another rant about the conspiracy against him
a little early
in
on
front
that.
of a bewildered Paul Felder and Megan Levy, who were both clearly not
I
part
love
of
this
the
dude
Joshua
just
Fabia.
blows up his spots, contract negotiations, press, junkets, and And like, what does he say to Diego? Like, he gets back in the car and goes, "That really went well. Like, that was how mad he got." Like,
it gets weirder and weirder to the point where the guy who's running the School of Self-Awareness has zero self-awareness. And this one here in particular, just for the sake of time, this is a press junket that the fighters go through, and he comes in and hijacks Diego's time and says, "I've been getting a bad rap. You guys keep saying I'm a bad coach. So, can we please be better about saving my feelings?" is essentially what he's saying.
Your fan club.
That's interesting when all I'm doing is bringing light to this.
Sign up for your lecture class.
I'm out, man.
They shot him down.
None of them can be skewed to determine what they're going to say on TV because you don't like the narrative that they went down. That's not how the commentary works. What articles are read? We don't rate articles, right? That's not part of our job.
Ironically, the head of the School of Self-Awareness was amazingly consistent at showing that he had absolutely no self-awareness.
I reminded him to say
There
that.
was another hilarious clip to come from the Jake Matthews fight when Fabia decided to confront and attempt to intimidate former UFC champion Matt Serra.
Now, are you familiar with Matt Serra, Shuli?
Oh yeah, big Matt Serra fan. Met him a few times. Very nice guy.
Is Matt Serra a guy who minces words?
No. No, he's Long Island through and through. If he's got an issue, a problem, he will let you know immediately.
So apparently Matt Serra on a broadcast was doing play-by-play commentary and mentioned that Diego had hooked up with some new trainer and he didn't know his name.
Right.
Joshua Fabia tried to confront Matt Serra and demand respect from him. How do you think that was handled?
Matt tied him in a knot and left.
Let's see, because it's on video.
Name on a podcast with Diego that took place over 6 months ago.
You trying to come over here and make some kind of great stand? You're bringing me up about. No, listen, bro. You want to talk? You're bringing up Michael Guerrero. I think the guy's a spud. Vienna? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't you're gonna fix my pronunciation. No, I'll just sit here.
So, to recap.
That goes on longer where he basically just says to him, "Look, I don't know you. I don't like what you're doing. And I think you're taking advantage of Diego Sanchez. And you know what? If he's going to let you, fine. I hope you make a lot of money off of him, but you don't need to talk to me."
In the space of a few days, Fabia coached Diego to his worst ever performance, embarrassed himself with the production team, and then completely embarrassed himself with Matt Serra, with everything being captured on camera. Joshua Fabia was the joke of mixed martial arts.
Now, I made a mistake earlier. I was
Chinese secret.
said it a little too early. But yes, we have a character here who is the destroyer of grifters, the one and only Anne Frank Dukes.
Nice.
Silent assassin.
Yes, the silent assassin, Anne Frank Dukes. Now, if you're not familiar with the show, Anne Frank Dukes is the representation robot, and she destroys the grifters that we cover. Thank you, Gummi Chainsaw.
Tiny man, big ego, calling Fabia as a farce, teaching moves that a lady flag.
Take a bow, Gummi.
Never looked better.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Dodging bullets on Instagram. Fabia fiasco, a circus in disguise. Training like a TikTok, not for battle cries.
If you're talking, Gummi, unmute.
Oh, my bad. I still gotta learn this. Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. Gummi makes all of our animations here. He's amazing. Please show him some love. Show him some support.
And shout out to Spurg Snake. He came up with the name of Anne Frank Dukes.
Spurg Snake came up with the name Anne Frank Dukes. If you're familiar with Frank Dukes, Shuli, he is the guy who was the character in Bloodsport. Total fraud.
Your opinion, not mine. Those Kumite guys are pretty dangerous. I'm not gonna upset them.
And now, Anne Frank Dukes.
You saw.
Yo, Anne Frank Dukes, this is face down. Spinning like dreidels, never backing down. Hit it
Thank God. I was worried we'd have to stop doing Zen Frank, but
From the attic to the octagon.
yeah.
Silent Assassin really is great. I need to throw that into the name.
Yeah, you could put like a nickname on their nameplate. I can do that.
Silent but deadly. That's another good little moment.
Oh, I get a lot of people asking what game this is. This is a WWE 2K25.
All right. Anne Frank Dukes versus Joshua Fabia.
Oh man. This one might be over quick.
They always are.
Wow. Oh, super kick. Oh man.
Once again, Anne Frank Dukes, the skeptical robot champion. Undefeated, destroyer of grifters, con men, paranormal searchers.
Winner of Last Jew Standing.
In the lyrics that the AI came up with, it was her fists spin like a dreidel, like you hear one of the opening lines.
All right, Shuli. Now, I know you got a heart out, so we will have to cover the rest of this some other time. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and remove that from the scene.
Hey, thanks for having me, first of all. And second, that thing we talked about before the show that you want to put together, maybe put that together and bring it on Trainables, and we'll all watch it together, and we'll promote, your channel here and your show, and you guys are doing a great fucking show. I love that it has nothing to do with any of the bullshit, people's wives and kids.
No.
It's great, and we need more shit like this. And
Thank you.
Happy for you guys. Anything I can do to help, let me know. And yeah, thanks very much.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much. Look, I got a tiny little audience, but if there's anything you'd like to plug that you think could help, please.
We're doing PDP today.
Great.
This afternoon at 4, and then I think we're doing an Anti-Karen tonight. We'll be on live tonight. Shout out to all the veterans out there. Hope everybody has a safe Memorial Day. And thanks again, guys.
Thank you, man. Have a great one, and I will definitely be watching you later. Have a great one.
All right, boys. Later.
Thanks again.
Take care. Now, dance. It's dance time. All right, folks. Thank you so much for being here. That is the special episode of Skeptical Robot for this wonderful Memorial Day. I think I do have some music for you. Hold on. Let's see. Do I? Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Wait. There you go. There you go. That's the one. We all are. I'm telling you, people will pay for this. Yes. Hey man, thank you for the $5. Shimmy corn. All right. Okay, I feel like making you do that is going to wear you out. But we do need to really put up a plan for people to pay for time shimmy, like $5 for 10 seconds or something like that. I really think people will pay. Not
I'll
kidding.
be your private dancer.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. I do not want to take up any more of your holiday. Everyone should be either asleep or eating or spending time with family. Thank you to Mr. Shuli for spending the time or taking the time to do this. It was a real solid. Please, let's get started with the plugs. Gummy, what would you like to plug?
Sure. My ex for now, just underscore Gummi _Chainsaw. That's pretty much it. That's where I put all videos, links, and whatnot. I'll be doing some gaming sometime soon. I don't know when, so just stick with my ex. So thank you guys.
But
It's
also,
always a fun time.
plug also DVW with Doom.
Oh yeah. On Doom's channel, at Doom's Paya. Our DVW, we finished up our first season, but catch up. Season 2 will be August or September, and we're gonna have more than wrestling. We're actually gonna be putting some from the UFC PS5 game in there too. So we're gonna have MMA and wrestling involved with our story stuff.
Very, very cool. Ferndog, I like this. We're pocos pero locos. Few but crazy. I like that. That's great. All right. Thank you so much. And let's see here. Please, Gummi is a mad genius. Does all this stuff. Look, Daisy Greenberg, I would tuck some bills in that husk. Oh, that wink. I love that wink. All right. So for me, Unboxing Eric on Sundays, Unboxing Riley Martin and Bigfoot it is on Thursdays on Hack Ride Studios channel. Please check us out. Please also check out our last episode of Skeptical Robot where we watched Miami Connection, the greatest movie ever made about orphans fighting ninjas in a rock band. And Corn, what would you like to leave us with, sir?
YouTube at CORNdiff. Find me there. And also, don't wait for the universe to give you a sign. Steal one off the interstate.
I like that one. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great Memorial Day. Thank you for being with us.
All scared, you say your house is haunted and you gotta beware. But quite frankly, I can't take it anymore. I don't give a damn if there's some creaking in your floor. It's not a ghost, you're just a dumbass. No spirit would care about your boring, lazy ass. Nobody's moving pictures or opening your cupboards. You just got a goldfish memory, my brother. So don't call me with this bullshit. Oh, I'm so tired of dealing with it. It ain't a ghost. Oh! Why the hell are you calling me again? No, I won't come over, it's fucking 3 a.m. I don't care if shit is sliding across your floor, cause you'd probably piss yourself the second I knocked on your door. It's not a ghost, you're just a dumbass. No spirit wants to watch you jerk it and pass gas. Nobody's blowing shit around or rattling your doors. You just drink enough for 7 men or more. So don't call me with this bullshit. Oh, I'm so tired of dealing with it.